당들이 저게 되네. 상유 좀 된디기 된디기 안에 라싱이 맞주버도야라 탑람 안에 된디기 남샤디 안에 상유 좀 되는 결혼기 송샤마도 신 질된 발라서 그 최상기 쇼나리아 시가시면도 세상 된디기 남샤디 상유 좀 되는 결혼기 송리마도 신다 된바디기 송면도 세상 되는 인자 안에 먼저 코르비 자와 다시 마리바 빠야게 탑람 안에 동유도비 셰랍 기고래 ditto 발란 텐디 남자 삼당 안에 삼당 고래세 디네기 텐디 남자티 겸바 상지 줌된디 결혼 소마도 셴다 소민도 대잔다 상지 줌된디 결혼 뱀 마시비다 겸바 라나메바디 레샤세데 안에 델레야 제르미지 뒤뛰어봤더니 나 저기 텔레야 랴셀레야들라 나 저기니 안에 코와 타고 인자 거의 규 안에 코와 세팅 아주 코위 둥아 삼다 되네 코위 둥아 델이야 계규 안에 녀모바 디아 제위기 다시 말이 버레샤스 삼다야다 니 보야게 탑람라 나 동요도 고른자 되네기다 된디게 남샤레야 삼다나 거 디싱 저디 거시에서 와도 디로와
Good afternoon. So this morning we looked at the verse where Lama Tsongkhapa was praising Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught dependence arising. And the reason for praising Buddha Shakyamuni was because the only way to be freed from the suffering state of cyclic existence is to realize the mind that is opposite to what binds us within samsara, and that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. And the method for doing so is to reflect on dependence arising. And this is something that only Buddha Shakyamuni has realized on the subtle level and taught this on all levels, both coarse and subtle levels. So because he's the only true teacher, or founder teacher, Lama Tsongkhapa praised him for this. And the purpose of Lama Tsongkhapa praising the Buddha was for his students to be inspired to practice just like Buddha Shakyamuni and Lama Tsongkhapa themselves did, seeing that, or coming to see first of all that what samsara, coming to understand how we experience the sufferings of samsara. So coming to experience suffering, or what samsara means on an experiential level, seeing that it arises in dependence on causes, and these causes have different layers, with the root of the ignorance of self-grasping. And then seeing that there's an antidote to that, and then cultivating that antidote, the wisdom that realizes the emptiness of inherent existence, and cultivating it through dependence arising. So that's what we looked at this morning. And then just before Genda continues, I need to correct a mistake from this morning in Gyatso's answer. Maybe it was in Gyatso's answer, maybe before as well. I kept talking about the object of abandonment. It should have been the object of refutation, or the object of negation. So Genda was saying object of negation, object of negation. I was saying object of abandonment, object of abandonment. So that was the wrong term. But the rest of it was okay, but I was just using the wrong term. And just for clarity, because again, I didn't say it so clearly and I had to correct myself this morning, of the two objects of negation, or these objects of refutation, there's one that's an existence, one that's a non-existent. Then the non-existent one is inherent existence itself, which still appears. So that was the non-existent object of negation. So if it was clear before, it will still be clear now. If it wasn't clear before, possibly still not.
텐디게 셰켄 송간나네 안에 초도 규바 안에 저기 탈바dunye 남기 고해 안에 레샤 세냐 안지 데니 임비 김자가라네 그런 게 텐디게 남자하고 송샤스냐 데니기 되어부야다 니고야 시야다.
So we'll continue looking at the text where Buddha Shakyamuni is praised for his variety of qualities, and these though come down again to having taught dependent arising. The 8th verse, wondrous teacher, wondrous refuge, wondrous speaker, wondrous protector. He who masterfully taught dependent arising, I prostrate to that teacher.
지산 제름 지기 되네게 다싱 아주 코와를 줘야게 탑 코와를 코이 규자와 다세 마리바 니파 빠야게 년보 동일도 베셔 된디게 남자 송여바데 베 마스 델이야 지이 초안에 베 가오쇼 존에 베 마시베 연대 야고 된데 야고 송샤 진짜 지산 항사야기 다된바상에 좀 된디 세마 So let
let's look at the 8th verse now. So this first expression, wondrous teacher, or marvelous teacher, amazing or fantastic teacher. So this is was composed by Geshe Rinpoche, having studied a vast array of sutras or teachings from the Buddha, and not only studied them, but reflected and meditated on their meaning. And he came to see clearly the truth or the validity of the Buddha's presentation, seeing that the very root cause of all our suffering is this ignorance of self-grasping. And moreover, Geshe Rinpoche came to see the validity or the accuracy of Buddha's teachings, that the way to abandon the ignorance of self-grasping is to cultivate the mind that is contrary, that is opposite to that. And that is a mind of wisdom. So wisdom being contrary to ignorance, and in particular, with the wisdom that realizes emptiness of inherent existence, is a mind that's contrary to the ignorance of grasping at inherent existence. And seeing this then for himself, amazement or wonder arose within him towards the founder teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni.
지나 디지 쇼고 숨바나신 데니기 빈의 코와다 탈발에 타야게 남된hen 된바 망부여르데 결혼 하신기다 상이 좀된데 나신기 소수기 냠용토 소수기 하킨 또 안마 안지게 탈바다 탐지kimbe 고발라 야 냠는제게 남지 림바 대디다 상이 좀된데 것도 나신지 민두 제사 상이 좀된데 결혼하다 나도 타바 되니 타바 되는 이야기는 되설이야 냠는제게 남이 림바디다 결혼 약속 된샤 제사 결혼 된바 약속特别 남된게 나네 약속을 샤하서 그러다.
As we heard this morning, there are other teachers who present who give a presentation on the sufferings that people experience in their lives, and they present a path to become liberated from that. So religious traditions have presentations to do with the sufferings that we experience, as well as then how to be liberated from them. But amongst all these many teachers, none of them, other than the Buddha, teach the actual stages that lead to a result that is where the practitioner is liberated from suffering. So the various stages of a path that are presented by other teachers do not lead to a state where one is liberated from suffering and experiences lasting stable happiness. So therefore, there's no teacher that is comparable to the Buddha in terms of showing the actual path to liberation.
Tajumitivo Toto, Sanja Koma Top Todos. Says that Dinenza, Kurang Suya, Lam de Yamna Jana Koala Targore, Chisan Koala Jabba, Jabgores. Chisan Kurang Jab, Winne Yanda Shas, Chisan Jabki, Kurangi, Shan, Simjan Tamji, Dumale, Dungai Nawadile, Jagudos, Chisan, Dena Kurang Jab, Chodo Gubare Shas, Chisan Dinenza, and Sanjum de Denigi Yunden Tonga, Emma Japs, Kuran, Denigi Jab Chodo Gubare Shasigurada.
And the second term is wondrous refuge. So to understand then why J. Rinpoche is praising Buddha Shakyamuni for being a wondrous refuge, we should understand that this term refuge has the meaning of to protect. So that we go for refuge, go for protection. So why is the Buddha being praised for being a wondrous refuge? Because being the wondrous teacher, he is taught he is incomparable in teaching or in showing the path to liberation from suffering. So therefore, the Buddha is a supreme refuge or wondrous refuge in that he's able to protect one from samsara through these teachings. So here the Buddha is being praised because through practicing what the Buddha taught, taking his teachings, hearing them, reflecting on them, meditating on them, then one gains protection from cyclic existence, one gains protection from suffering. Seeing this quality of the Buddha and his teachings, Lama Tsongkhapa praises him for being a wondrous refuge.
Emo machos, that Masa Hang Sayaki, that Denigi, Dentigi, Namsha, Sonyaki, Bene, Dumba Mambugi, Chige, Tarbada, Tamje Kimbe Toya Lam, Jimba, Jimbi, Yaman, Sujum, Songur, Sada, Dingins and Gomgo, Sungur, Ine, Demba Juba, Zimbi, Denzin, Digi, Yambola, Donyu Doko, Donyu Dowala, Denigi, Jebachin, Dentigi, Namsha, Gomje, and then Dentigi, Namsha. Samata, Deni Tonyo to Gom Yamne Jehuri, Sungan Deni Namja Sungandi, that's Sanjo Koran, Kiramatu Mindu Chesa, Emo, Machos, Denigi, Masungan Nane, Sungan in the Choto Kubarishas or that.
The third term, wondrous speaker or propounder. This then refers to that amongst the many founder teachers of various traditions, they taught many teachings which the Buddha also taught to a degree, so practices relating to the cultivation of the mind of ethics, the mind of generosity, the mind of love and compassion, as well as a concentrated mind. So whilst there are these teachings that are in common between various traditions, it was only Buddha Shakyamuni that taught dependent arising. It's only Buddha Shakyamuni that taught this technique of dependent arising, which leads to the cultivation of the mind of wisdom, particularly the wisdom realizing emptiness.
Nyomba Panda Mashimba Digilia, Nyomobagi, and Dinity Yungureda, Dinigin Nyomba Tigre, Dinigin Soso Kanga Tigre said, Dinigi Lam Dueta, Dinigi, that Dinigi Meva Suelang, Meva Sudan Mashing to, oh, Dinich Combo, Dinich Samda, Dinu, my Meva Suture sitting Anzu, Manzo Lobdinch Kochi, Guensor, Chesa Dini Guen, Bemasi, Yashu Horisha, or that.
And then the fourth term, wondrous protector. Protector here referring to that we, hearing the teachings of the Buddha, embarking on cultivating this inner path within us, we are then we are starting on a journey, commencing a journey along a path of spiritual progression which is new to us, something that we haven't done before, we haven't achieved before. So the Buddha here as a protector or as a guide is presenting to us, these are the kinds of problems and obstacles you will encounter, particularly referring to the various afflicted minds in terms of the various degrees of subtlety that one will encounter. So this is our guide acting skillfully, explaining to us the problems that we are going to experience as we progress and develop this path within us, and moreover, how to eliminate these obstacles, these afflicted minds, what one needs to cultivate in meditation, and what one needs to abandon. So here, for being this wondrous guide or this wondrous protector, the Buddha is being praised once again. Looking at the third line, he who masterfully taught dependent arising. So here the Buddha is being praised for his inner qualities of wisdom, through having come to realize emptiness through dependent arising, and realizing it in a way that's perfect and complete. And secondly, he's been praised for the quality of love and compassion, which compelled the Buddha to share the path or share the technique for developing this realization within the continuum of his students. And he did this motivated by love and compassion, wanting to share this wisdom that he had cultivated, share the technique for cultivating it with others so that others could be freed of suffering too. So the Buddha here is being praised for the qualities of his wisdom and his love and compassion. And moreover, as we see here with masterfully taught, he taught the practice of dependent arising through showing that first of all what suffering is, and that suffering is a dependent arising. It's not self-existent. It comes about in dependence on causes. And being a dependent arising, so not being inherently existent, it can be eliminated. And the antidote to our suffering, this too is a dependent arising, dependent on causes being developed. And therefore, it can be cultivated by us. It is not something that is inherent, that is either exists or doesn't. It is something that can be cultivated. So both the sequence of causes towards our suffering as well as causes to delivering wisdom or developing wisdom, these can be abandoned and cultivated. Here the Buddha taught this masterfully through his wisdom and his compassion. And then in the fourth line, Che Rinpoche, when he expresses, I prostrate to the teacher, what he's saying is that recognizing these unique good qualities that you and you alone have of wisdom and love and compassion through the realizations that you have cultivated, by prostrating to you, I want to become like you in the sense that I commit to following your example and thereby cultivating those same good qualities within myself. And that is the meaning of prostrating to the teacher.
장도르제 냠묘제 곰 냠렌치네 데네 뇨몬베기 빵타디기 림바치 차상 खे 제산 덴디기 남자야 보खे 디케네 아줄야 근데 산이 좀 되게 송샤샤 제산 산이 좀 된데 세디 송교들이야 노추균에 메데켄 안에 디냠린 제바이나 타바다 탐제 김비 톱토야기 탑람 휴지 야고치레샤 디네 인자 안아주이네 차사 디네 토리아 안산이 좀 된디기 덴디기 남자 송샤바 델이야 안 소수기 퇴바 예지 된다디 파당 뭐 망보니 퇴시 데네 안디 된다래 야네 야도 삼당 데네 삼당이 데네 동반이 되 남자 또요도 데네 야 델이야 곰접 제시도 곰신 띵해진 곰 데네 곰 제네 냠는 제바 이나 안에 소수기 뇨모 빵제 탈비고 봐 톱투구도 탐지기 벽고 봐 톱투구도 제사다 데네게 탐지기 벽고 봐 데네 인자 안 데네시는 냠는 제고를 에스켜노지네 데네 제고를 송고로다
Die Dhammayagya Goma Sanghoda, die also Shinian Lakdong Dubyedan,
Shini to come, Tonyu Tony, then Tonyu to things of come, the Tonyu to be sharp till Lakdong come, then you come by then you mobile doesn't marry but two to Chizapa by Tarpas 2 hours, Chesan Tarbico about top 2 hours, then Tamji Kimbo about top 2 hours, Chesan Denigi Yapoya did Yamlendus now Jewu.
So what is the advice that Lama Tsongkhapa is giving in this verse? For what reason did he compose this verse? So he is here saying that through practicing what he has studied from the Buddha's teachings, he was able to abandon his afflicted minds together with their seeds. Having done so, he was able to see from his own experience that the Buddha's advice, the Buddha's teachings, are faultless and without compare. And the reason for him presenting this to us as his students is to give us courage, to give us confidence that this is the case. And we should make the same commitment that he made to come to understand the Buddha's teachings thoroughly for ourselves. And how to do so? To engage in practice just like Lama Tsongkhapa did. We need to receive a lot of teachings and study, putting them into our minds, reflect on these teachings, and eventually be able to actually meditate on them. And go through this process of studying, reflecting, and meditating, not just now and again, but repeatedly over a sustained period. And as we develop our own inner good qualities, we then develop the prerequisites in order to be able to develop the minds of calm abiding and special insight. When we have attained a union of calm abiding and special insight, together with our the study, reflecting, and meditating we've been doing up to this point, we will be able then to realize emptiness, develop the wisdom of realizing emptiness. In this way, we'll be able to abandon the ignorance of self-grasping and attain a state of liberation, attain liberation from suffering. So this is the purpose of Je Rinpoche having composed this verse. That brings us then to the 9th verse. For the sake of benefiting sentient beings, benevolent teacher, you have taught the definitive, peerless reason for emptiness, which is the heart of the teachings.
Denegi jamje kidine ane gyuma sheba duda namba kundu sanyu jumnen digi jowa semjen ya jamse samdangje ji jamje janyang samdang gorwa inza pense so shenle penbege samjanya da jisan denegi pense ki jowa la so.
For us, we'll look at the first 2 lines together. For the sake of benefiting sentient beings, benevolent teacher, you have taught. So this term then, benevolent teacher, this then refers to that the Buddha, motivated by love and compassion for all sentient beings without exception, and all sentient beings equally, not some more so than others. So motivated by love and compassion for all sentient beings, wanting them to experience only happiness, wanting them to be liberated from suffering, then the Buddha engaged in teaching. So that is the meaning of this term, benevolent teacher.
dunga seege dunga simjele pembe chirdo ana karsungora sene churim sungoya da jimbe nyamne jewa da bidanga zo kibu lamrim go sheba na shin kibu chungyu gi da tes lo member because tes nuba chungwa to ya ne jewa chimale ya ngason ma jegi ne ha ta ngason la tarje ha da mi ko ba tobe ya gi danda la kibu chungyu gi lamje namsha mita ko kom go ya dang mitabo ko konjo sumna jamro da dene ge sungo res da ya jik tes rigbo tes dele tes trawa digelya ane anda korwi ge gyen dige deji sumba na je korwa korwi ge gyen dunga dene dunga demba se dene she sa da ane kunju demba dunga yu dige dene yungure kunju demba se la gigore sa da dunga dene ge ane dunga dige pangba ko den de la tarba tar dunga ye zawa de ji da se mari ba pangba de la pangba to du tarbe ta jo to tu ko res je san di to ba la lam nyam ne ji gong ku re sa de ane ye bu ting gi nam sha lam ji ting ko res da de le ge lo go chen bu ne ji sem do ning do che de ge le ya ane sem jan tham je rang ge ma sha ba da ma re ma gyu nyo wa re je san jin chen bu re sa da ane je ne yin za ane ya ji len jo bu re sa da 안델야 안 잠바다 자와 냠nenje 데네 아니 라사 남다 데네 장슈 셈 냠nenje 고래 데인자다 장슈 셈 냠nenje도 데네 장슈 셈이 줘봐 안 짐바다 주름 파신 주기 냠nenje 고래서 아니 데네게 캬바 침비기 남기 림바 데네게 로체 저게 번에 로체 체줄도 순고래서 제가 다 디나네 자다 셔라게 파신 주고 있는데 셔라게 파신 세대 제가 녀모버 디바 바차다 제바 빵제 산제 고방 토와라 토요도 돈이 파진 주기 냠nen제 디간래 돈이 조금 그래 돈이 냠nen제네 중국에서 데네게 산 얘기 저배 투제 왕거 조화래 팬비치도 최 안에 망보 시우 자체모 송요래서 팬비래도 가자 봤을 때
So still looking at these first two lines, for the sake of benefiting sentient beings, benevolent teacher. So here, the Buddha, having this wish for all sentient beings without exception to be freed from suffering, this wish to benefit them, he taught, and he taught specifically in accordance with their varying capacities. So we know the Buddha Dharma best through the divisions of the Lamrim. So we can then think of how the Buddha taught according to the varying capacities of individual beings. So he taught in accordance of beings of smallest capacity or least capacity, intermediate capacity and greatest capacity. And when he was teaching for those who had very limited capacity, he taught about the tremendous suffering that is being experienced by beings in the lower realms. And he taught then how to create the causes not to be born in the lower realms. So he spoke about impermanence and the need to meditate on impermanence and law of cause and effect and refuge, etc. So as to try and close the door to rebirth in the lower realms. And then for those practitioners who have a greater capacity than that, those who are of intermediate or middling capacity, the Buddha taught a far more profound Dharma. And he clearly presented the faults of cyclic existence in their entirety. Not just the faults, the sufferings that are experienced in the lower realms, but the sufferings that are also experienced by beings in the so-called happier realms of humans and gods. And so therefore he presented a far more detailed presentation on the sufferings that all beings who are still trapped within cyclic existence are experiencing. And then he taught to these practitioners the causes of suffering. And he spoke about the various afflicted minds and their root cause, the ignorance of self-grasping. So these presentations now only were given to beings of intermediate capacity, not to those of smallest capacity. And then thirdly, he taught that this situation that we all find ourselves, that ordinary beings find themselves in, can come to an end. It can cease. And here he taught about the state of nirvana, of cessation. And then thereafter, he taught about the path that one needs to cultivate within oneself, the mental paths to be cultivated in order to be able to abandon the seeds, the afflicted minds, together with their seeds, and attain a cessation of suffering, liberation from suffering. So this is what the Buddha taught to beings of intermediate capacity. And those of greatest capacity, he took these preceding teachings and he added to this, that you practitioners, you have the capacity to think beyond your own experience and take your understanding now of your own experience and apply it to others. See this relationship that we have with other beings, this relationship of dependency of mother and child between ourselves and all other sentient beings, and this relationship of dependency of kindness between ourselves and others. And reflecting on this way, this will lead to the arisal of the wish to repay that kindness. And using that as the cause, reflect on it further, and it will result in the arisal of a mind of love, and a mind of compassion. Reflecting on these further, then through the relationship of dependency, then you'll give rise to the mind of special intention, where we take responsibility for the welfare of others. That others are still suffering would be one's own responsibility. That others are not yet liberated from suffering is one's own responsibility. And this then can be cultivated further to generating the mind of bodhicitta. So the Buddha taught this to practitioners who's had the mental capacity that is greatest amongst beings. Then moreover, he taught that once, not only did he teach how to generate the mind of bodhicitta, but then the practices that bodhisattvas engage in. And these were the 6 perfections of generosity, ethical conduct, patience, choice, perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. So this he taught to beings of greatest capacity, and he taught them how, through practicing the perfection of wisdom, that the afflicted minds, together with their imprints, these can be abandoned. And these are abandoned through meditating on emptiness. And when one has done so to the point where one's wisdom is perfected, one becomes a Buddha. And then one can benefit beings in a way that is so vast that it's incomparable to what any other being can do. One can teach and guide others directly in accordance with their needs, and benefit a vast number of beings in the most profound of ways. So this is how the Buddha taught to beings in accordance with their own individual predisposition and capacity.
Na ni dige danda da jiti singurwa da kashine denba kashi ma labgo samna ji lab shingo ma so so ma shin bana so so labgo samna ani ji mudunga se da dunga se bi tap da digi tuye tap de ma dujala so so dujala ma shewa samna so so ma shin na sheya yo ma res jesan kashine denigi labgo sambi samlo yo na so so ki ma shin we inza she tu go ma res 가시네 즉 되네 신규여 버리네야 말랍죠 소소랑랑 냠렌지 곰잡 소수게 탈바 마토 바도 소소라랑 냠렌지 곰잡 마도 셴랴 안데니기 배치 마셔가 되는 용거레스 지사 산지 좀 되네 결혼기 지셴랴 판비 된다라 감나 메발라 düğün비 토네 최배 무슨 바도 메바 송아디 송샤 대송아 차상 대송아디야 셴랴 펜바 제와단 젬비 왕기 ane sungyo reshaas, pe masibeda sosugi xingba di jamzi wange shenlia, labche shenlia, penpa jachimu zhuwa di sanye chumdene kar, pe masibeda halayagi ji reshaas, andu sungorwa da jerim chigi.
So Jerim Piche is praising the Buddha here because not only did he teach the faultless path to achieve the highest of goals, he taught from a position of faultless experience. And this lent an authenticity that no other teacher has to his teachings. Moreover, he taught truly in accordance with the needs of the individual practitioners. So to some, he gave quite a limited presentation because that is all that they were capable of understanding. Anything more than that would have been too much for them and led to perhaps to abandonment or turning away from this path. And to some students with a greater capacity, he was able to teach suffering in further detail, the method to abandon suffering in further detail. So in other words, he was able to teach two beings in accordance with their own individual personalities in a way that no other teacher could. And he could do that because of his perfected wisdom. And moreover, what ensured that he did teach to others solely with the motivation to benefit them and not with any self-interest were his perfected minds of love and compassion. So with these minds being perfected or developed to their fullest extent, they were complete and therefore are perfections. And with such an exalted and faultless motivation, he taught a perfect path to beings in accordance with their individual predispositions and inclinations. And for these reasons, the Buddha is being praised here.
잠바다 지유 관에 샬야 디기 주야다 동아 세야래 최바도 남랑 망부 야침부 휴 송요레스 니나네다 약효데 그래라네 아니 동반이 있어야돼 동반이 도베람 동니디레스 제가 동반이 도베 동니세시 동니 도베 람디 곰바이나 아니 람 곰바 타바다 tum지 기부고 토그리에 세베게 안 동니 남샤시 동니 도베 람디 곰고 송요레스 제가 디니 소야디 디나데 소야기다 최 망부 소야나네 디나데 된다니고 약쇼디 가르두스나 동니 남샤시야디레샤스 거다 동비 덴비 닝포 지도 데네게 최망고 덴비 나네 닝보 약쇼디 동바니스 동바니 도비 로 남지 남샤시 디 약쇼레샤스.
And the third and fourth line, the definitive peerless reason for emptiness, which is the heart of the teachings. So for us, emptiness, which is the heart of the teachings, we'll look at that. That's the third line in the Tibetan. So the Buddha taught a vast array of teachings. Some were relating to method, some relating to wisdom. And amongst this vast array of teachings, the supreme is the path by which to realize emptiness. So the very greatest of teachings that the Buddha gave was presenting the path by which one cultivates the wisdom realizing emptiness and thereby eliminates the root cause of all our suffering, this ignorance of self-grasping. And therefore emptiness is likened here to the heart or the essence of the teachings.
유소고디 가르라나 디지 쇼게 셰바나시 마도 나 세르가 라신 주바 짐비 짐바디 제사 나 줄야 뇽모버게 세위 규디 나 라신 주바 짐비 짐바디레스 제사 나 라신 주바 짐비 짐바델라 테네 아니 뇽모바 되샤 콘조 아니 지금 차도 아니 나야 되는게 기고 디제와래 되네 나줄려 동아 봐도 레사 레 세델이네야 되는 놈뭐 뭐게 디왕기 샹라 주부자다 되는게 아니 지금 강하고 동아하고 셈마기와다 샹라 녀바다 랑라 녀베라신이가 녀베 동아하고 요거레스 세치마 삼다웨네 되는게 놈뭐 뭐게도 놈뭐 왕기 아니 샹라 소줘바다 치수샤다 랭아 뭐 사시 레디기 제부디 개와치마 나송라 계시 동아용어에 뭐 차고 진짜 동아용어에 규조디 조 자위 규디 다진 나 라싱 주바 짐베 짐바디레샤 다진 마리바 디레샤 진짜 디 다진 마리바디 매바서야라 잡바다 제와까지 공부네 고매바서 도움이도스 진짜 짐비 냠네까지 제베네 콜로니그미도스 니 아니 내내 추중이 냠네 제바네 델레니 도움이도스 진짜 델레 뇌hen 조디 다디 매바서 뇌hen 가 조디 동인도 비셔라레스 진짜 동인도 비셔랍세야디 나 라싱이 마주바 또 빌려들어와 진짜 동인도 비셔라 나 라싱이 마주바 또 빌려디 다 동인도 비셔라 안 디레샤스 나 라싱이 마주바 또 비기 또비 동인 또 비셔랍데 기용도 되네 델레 양호스 뇌제 코 니바 슈충다 코 슈를 담에도 되네 동인도 비셔라데 고미야 가지 니바 차르조도 코 라싱 주바 짐바디 슈충충도 거 진짜 타말고 빵투고 거래서 빵용도에네 델레 되네 그런 반사에서 델레 되네 되자 공조 녀모지야요 말 녀모마지야데 레사 랭안바사요 말 랭안바마사나 근데 코알게 야미도 제가 되니게 다제 말해봐야 뇌게 반지기 님보 왜네 장대의 수리를 납나 동인도 비셔라 레샤스 제가 동인도 비셔라디 초도 규바 인비 금센데 디레샤스
Why then is emptiness called the heart or the essence of the teachings or the Buddha Dharma? Well, as we heard this morning, the root cause of all our suffering is that the fact is this mind that grasps at the self as being inherently existent. So the mind that is the ignorance grasping at true existence, ignorance grasping at the mind of ignorance of self-grasping. And so this is the root of all our suffering, because as we heard this morning, from this, all our other afflicted minds come. Minds such as attachment, as anger, as pride, as jealousy, this vast array of afflictions come from this ignorance of self-grasping. And when these minds arise within us, their mere presence destroys our own happiness. So this is most evident if it's a mind of anger. That alone clearly destroys our mental peace. But so does desirous attachment or pride. These all destroy our own inner peace and thereby lead to suffering right now. And then if we act under the influence of these minds, especially in relation to others, we speak under the influence, we physically act under the influence, this then has an impact on those around us. And we can bring suffering and problems into the lives of others through speaking under the influence of these minds or physically interacting with them. So therefore, these minds, which have as a root cause the ignorance of self-grasping, destroys our own inner peace and brings harm to those around us. But the suffering doesn't stop in this life, because of course the arisal and the inaction of these minds lead to the accumulation of negative karma, which when ripens in our future lives, ripens in suffering. So if one engages in acting out, generating a mind of harmful intent, or a mind of anger, or speaking in a harmful way, or an abusive way, or stealing, all of these accumulate karma, and when this ripens in a future life, further suffering is experienced. So therefore, the root cause of all our suffering is this ignorance of self-grasping. And of the various antidotes that one can cultivate, and these antidotes which lead to the accumulation of virtue and the reduction of the strength of our afflicted minds, these various antidotal minds, such as love and compassion and generosity and ethical conduct, whilst all of these are beneficial, none of them can destroy the root cause of our suffering. None of them can eliminate the ignorance of self-grasping. The only antidote to that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. The wisdom realizing emptiness is the realization that I am not inherently existent. The self may appear as self-existent, but is empty of self-existence. And this realization is the direct antidote to the root cause of all our suffering. And there's and the way to understand how these minds work together is as one thinks more and more about emptiness, and thereby cultivates our understanding of emptiness, then this wisdom, this understanding, as it grows, the contrary mind of ignorance of self-grasping proportionately weakens. So there's a relationship here of relativity, or you could say dependency, but in English probably relativity here is better. That as the one grows stronger, the other grows weaker. So why this is so important is that the direct realization of emptiness, this doesn't come quickly. But as one's wisdom grows, immediately our ignorance weakens. And if our ignorance of self-grasping, or by as much as our ignorance of self-grasping weakens, the resulting afflicted minds of anger and pride, attachment, jealousy, all of these arise less frequently and are less powerful. And thereby, less suffering for ourselves and others follow, less negative karma is accumulated. So again, the more one meditates on emptiness, the stronger one's wisdom becomes, and thereby the contrary mind of ignorance weakens. So this is the reason why emptiness is the heart or the essence of the Buddha's teachings.
나는 즉시 시바데 maybe 규전 담에 봐시데 제가 상계 점된데 결혼기 최 남람 송배 나네 다 초도 기회 약쇼디 아니 동요도 비람 아니 디레샤스 지난 데네 인자 동요도 비람 동요도 비 셰랍 디레샤스 진일 셰르바다 제가 템비 송배 나네 다 초도 기회 약쇼디 아 동요도 비 셰랍 동요도 비람 디레샤스 디임비 김천이야 되지 셰사르바 제가 다 데니기 동양 도야 동이 제바체 동유 도야기 탑시 동유 도야 탑시 삼다야라 망부요레 김체 삼다야 망부요레 이내 네비 김체시도 동유 도야기 라 동이 임비 김체 삼다야 망부요레 이내 김체 삼다야 나네 김체 약쇼디다데 결혼의 상이 좀내 손색이 땡지게 남샤 삼다데 다 김체 약쇼레 샤스 김체 담에 봐시디 동유 도야야 동유 도야기 도달래 김체 삼다이디 땡지기 남자 삼다디 약쇼르샤스 데레 자가지 민두우스오르나.
And the fourth line in the Tibetan, our third line, the definitive peerless reason. The definitive peerless reason for emptiness, which is the heart of the teachings. So here, we've heard now about that emptiness is the heart of the teachings, and so this then can be called now the path of the wisdom realizing emptiness. This is the supreme practice that the Buddha taught. And amongst the many ways that one can cultivate the wisdom realizing emptiness, or cultivate the path understanding emptiness, the very best, the peerless one, is dependent arising as taught by Buddha Shakyamuni. So the presentation of dependent arising as taught by Buddha Shakyamuni is the peerless reason establishing definitively emptiness.
아디네게 지제디게 나 제름 지강소야 랍차 가르는 거래 랍나 지사 상예 좀는 데코랑기 아니 직배 자마다 제와 닝제 현심제 담제라 잠제 삼다 잠제고 지사 현심제라 잠제고제 현심제 디기주에다 동아 세게 돈달라 탑라 망부 송요레스 디나데 동인 남샤 송 디네 땡지게 남샤 송요레스 제가 디네상 안주이네 상예 좀된데 코랑기 냐마 냠는 가니스나샤 그런 거는 낭도 디나시 안주기 냠는 제국어래 세상 안저 안저 뒤로 와다는데 랍라기엔 버시네 옌디기 빈 셰랍간 옌진다 그런 거 셰가데 땅도 디나시 안저 땅 신마신 될래 장도 제국어와 제가 샤브로 잡간 랍간 옌디 그런 거 샤브로 간에 차고도 디나시 안저 그 나진 차배 된다라 장국어와 비디나시 산유 좀 된데 그런 게 군롱 삼로 샹랴 가니스탄도 잠제 게디나 샹랴 잠바데 제와 삼당 지산 샹둥하다 자야다 대기 주변에 돈달 잠제 삼다 잠 삼다 지산 데니게 잠제 삼당에 아니 샹세위 탑 냠는 제야라 대동이 짐바다 추팀다 아니 직제 파신주기 냠는 제야 아니 또 동요도 비셔라 검제 안 다음에 비기 또 다음에도 비셔라 검네 녀모 봐야지 냠네 산지기 만솔에 랍진 난구도 와스 니나신 나주기 잠제 삼다 아니 자슈 잠바다 제와 검 아니 자슈 셈 삼다 데니잔 짐바도 추dim디야 냠는지 디톤에 나주기 냠는지 지기랴 덴지기 남자 삼다지 동이를 제바 동이 또토바 제고 그래서 제가 데니게 동이 또토서도 데니 동이디 야 검제 동이 또 비셔라데 비안에 야도 검제네 니바야 셔셔 다제네 만두스 공고 데네 공바 있나 안 다제 마리 바방 투그레스 지산 탈바 톱 투그레 탐지 김도 고방 톱 투그레스 그러다
And then in this 9th verse, what is the advice that J. Rinpoche is giving to us? So he starts out by talking about the motivation of Buddha Shakyamuni. That Buddha Shakyamuni, knowing the suffering that all ordinary beings are experiencing, he's motivated by love and compassion to help sentient beings attain the exact same state that he attained. A state that is completely freed from suffering, a state that is perfected. So with this peerless and faultless motivation of love and compassion for suffering sentient beings, the Buddha taught, based on his experience, the exact and complete method that he practiced himself to eliminate suffering and its causes. And amongst the different ways that one can approach reducing one's suffering, he taught many methods, including the supreme method, the path for cultivating the wisdom, or the technique for cultivating the path that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So ourselves, as students of the Buddha, we need to practice in the same way that he did. And this then can be likened to if there's a worldly skill or talent that one wants to train in, one will seek out a teacher who you feel has that skill, who has developed that skill that you'd like to emulate. So let's say one wants to become a talented singer or dancer, one will find someone who knows how to do that well. And you'll go to them and say, I'm really impressed with your way of singing or dancing, and I'd like to be able to do that just like you. Show me what you know. Teach me everything you know, and I will do exactly as you have done. So this is the approach that we should be taking with the Buddha, because from the Buddha's side, due to his love and compassion, he is offering the entire path. He's holding nothing back. He's offering how to develop every good quality to its fullest, most complete, to the perfected level. So therefore we should commit to practicing just like he did. So he taught the 6 perfections, and we should meditate on these. The mind of generosity, ethical conduct, patience, joyous perseverance, concentration, and the wisdom realizing emptiness. So all of these we need to meditate on, cultivating these minds within ourselves, and do so and ensure that we combine whatever our topic of meditation is. If we are perhaps meditating on just one of them, perhaps ethics or patience, that we combine it with the meditation on emptiness of inherent existence through the presentation of dependent arising. So this is important. If one is meditating all 6 perfections, then that's fantastic because this will be included. If one has a particular meditation topic that one is repeatedly meditating and cultivating within oneself, that is an excellent technique, but also combine it with cultivating the emptiness of inherent existence through the presentation of dependent arising. Because in this way, we will be able to abandon the ignorance of self-grasping completely and attain liberation from suffering and enlightenment itself. And for those who really like pith instructions, then Rinpoche is saying here, I did exactly the same as the Buddha did and achieved that result. So it worked for him, it's worked for me, do the same as us. So I've just now encouraged you once again to engage in this meditation on coming to understand the emptiness of inherent existence through meditating on the presentation of dependent arising. And I'm sure by now all of you have at least a coarse understanding of the presentation of dependent arising. A further important benefit that comes through meditating on dependent arising is that the love and the compassion that we feel for others, these minds will grow greatly in strength. So how does meditating on dependent arising impact or lead to our minds of love and compassion growing? Well, when things are going well for us and we're healthy, we're happy, we're in a good mood, we tend to be not so aware of the situation of others because we're really quite caught up in our life that is going well. We're not, and this is because we actually are not reflecting in much detail at all about our own situation. So my hope is you're all sitting here healthy and happy, but take that good basis that you have and look at it in some detail. Look at the good qualities that you have. So let's take, for example, the mental good qualities that you have. So that if one doesn't investigate, well, we tend to think of ourselves as, oh, I have all these good qualities in my personality and as well as this knowledge, and we think of ourselves in a very positive way because we have these. This is a sign that we are not using our wisdom or our knowledge to investigate our situation well. Because if we scratch just a little bit below the surface, we'll see that these inner good qualities have been developed. They aren't self-existent, they weren't always there, they have been developed. And they weren't developed just by ourselves and our own incredibleness, they were developed in dependence on others. The easiest to understand are the various skills that we employ in our place of work. Our ability to read and write and do arithmetic and whatever are the greater skills that one has been trained in. Very clearly, these we weren't born with. These were taught to us. And then there are also the skills that in terms of one's character or personality that have been developed. These too were developed in dependence on the kindness of others. So this we need to think about. And through our utilizing our understanding of dependency, we can look at our own good qualities, our own inner qualities, and see how they've arisen in dependence on others.
Dine shengi jamze chebale tene ngānsu chalwānchina yār chimbu chātu ka chirwa. Chisa ngānsu ki namjun cheba tsingi lūdi ine shenla tene drupti ka chabu wara. Shenla tene yunga mara kānglai mātio pache dāngpa ne ngānsu lūdi dhruyo marwa. Chisa shenla tene pamale tene dāngpa chūngchūng sha dōgdōshi mātio yo mara. Dēla yāni tene ma yāchi pamegi pa dāngpa je kyōng chen pa suyene tene chāra ngānsu ki chātu ki chātu wa. Chisa ngānsu lūdi samdāngpa ne shenla tene drupti ka chira chagore.
Tene kērāng utsukdu, tene kērāng dūlok tāng supo trū, te kola sungsō?
Jēzirā ngā tu supo te gādī na ngā tu supo te pē tsā chīmbu chē chā ngā tu jīchik ñā tu supo te sī kōr.
Then furthermore, we looked at the mind, now let's look at the body. So this body that we take such good care of, every day we wash, maybe on days like today more than once. We always keep it covered in clothing, and we take care that the clothing looks good. So we tend to take good care of this body. And we have it throughout this life, from our conception up to our death. But this body too depends on others, and moreover depends on the love and the compassion of others. And this is most apparent if we think of our experience in this life when we were at our most vulnerable. And we were completely dependent on the kindness then of our families, in particular of our mother. When we had no means to look after ourselves. We couldn't feed ourselves, we couldn't keep ourselves warm, and we couldn't treat ourselves if we were ill. We were completely dependent on the kindness of many beings, in particular our mother. So thinking this way in relation to our body, we can also see how we are dependent on the kindness of others.
Dine inzang ngānsu ke kewara sabi ine da surum sungu ne shenla nyoba jigi mehesne nge shenla nyoba jigi mehesamne surum sungu orwa di surum rowa jizan shenla nyoba jigi shen ju yoba inzang dhela nyoba jigi mehesamne sungu ji ngānsu kewa sayo kogabra gawar shen di mena kewa sayo kogabra gawar jimbe nyamne jeba ine shenla pemba ju roho jigi gorwa shen di mena jimba roho cheye me ti soso sonam saya mere jizan Sēpa gōmbā yinā shēn jīla tuyāni sēpa gōnggō rā mātā kōla gōnggō rā shēn sēpa gōyā mē rā chēsā ngā tō jīmbā tō chūchūn sēpa yinā yamlēn jē chāsā gēwā chūpa yinā tā ngā chū kī chū jī shē jē gēwā chūpa yinā shēn jīla shē nē mā tō shēn jī mē na chū shēsā mē na chū shē jē gēwā chūyā yō mā rā wā chēsā sō sū kī tā tam nyān rā gētā chīmbō chā wā na shen le tuyane mi o kyo yakbudu pe yakbudu se mi tuyanga dali suzu kye dachi mo chagwa ma to mi shen da me tuyane merwa chisan du samtane nganzu ke gari chik tam nyandra sosu ke saya tongya ndoya sosu subo sosu yunden gari chik samtane shen le tuyane druptu ke kya kya chal ma to shen la ma tuya pa se zawa kini me tinga re Just Dini, Shan said, Masi Rahania, getting Chimbo Shurido, Sambigita, Shalia, and Bene getting Chimbo in body, Lahbar to Delia, getting Chimbo Gentuke, Dintent Gorda. Just as she said, Bemasi, yes, Chimbo, Resha, just as she said, Bemasi getting Chimbo Resha, Narayundina, Shanlet in the Yungudu, so Zayado, Shanlet in the Yungudu. Suzuki and the Gewasayatine, Shanlatin Yungudu, Suzuki Tamyanda, Kerachawana, Shanlatin, Shan said, Pembas getting Chimburesha, Sambigi, the Nigishandi, the Nig sometimes Shandy getting Chimbu in body, and the stable tone. Shan getting Chimbu tone or that, Tulia getting Chimbu Dinina, Suzuki, Subu Tango, Susu Gobra, Shanley, Pember Tuyadi, Madruna dancing and Osa, Pemas Shamted, just a din, Shanley, Pember to good was. Shen Alia dine Jinchimbo Jabanza, Ni Shalia Pemba Jugi, Sambigi, Dine Azugi, da Jinzo said, Dinigi Shuchebo Lady. Chisna Levanza, Dinigi, Marshi, Jinzo said, Jinje, Jinchimbo Yimbada, Dele Jinso to Sambigi, some Lotiki, Dingi, some not dying, Dinigi Hawadu, some Shuche Yedi, Dine Yungu is a reason some there.
So use. In the section that we are at now, we're talking about how to use our understanding of the presentation of dependence arising to strengthen our minds of love and compassion. We spoke about looking at our own inner good qualities, as well as then our body, and seeing how all that we have comes about in dependence on others. And the third way we can look at this, then we have the wish to develop spiritually, to develop inner good qualities. So these inner good qualities that we have already developed, and we hope still to develop further, these also come about dependently. They're not self-existent. They arise in dependence on causes and conditions. They come about in dependence on something other than itself, and therefore are not self-existent. And specifically speaking, they come about in dependence on the kindness of others. So for example, if we engage in the practice of cultivating the mind of ethical conduct, so the practice of ethical conduct is developing a mind of restraint. To have a mind of restraint, one needs to have someone to be restrained about or towards. So if there's not someone to practice in relation to, it's difficult to practice ethics fully. One needs to be able to practice in relation to others. So therefore, one needs to have others to practice ethics fully. Similarly with the practice of generosity. So whilst generosity is, the practice of generosity is developing an attitude, a wish to give, there is a need for there to be others, beings who are suffering that one wants to give to, holy beings that one wants to offer to, etc. So this practice of generosity requires others. And this is also very clearly the case with the practice of patience. So whilst the practice of patience again is a mind, it's a mind that doesn't respond to adversity, or a mind that rather remains calm in the face of adversity, there still is a requirement for others upon whom, or together with whom we can practice patience. And moreover, the cultivation of these minds doesn't just require a third party out there that we can be generous towards, or ethical towards, or patient towards, but we require training in these practices. We require instruction in these practices. So therefore, these inner good qualities are dependent on a teacher. So again, we can see how all inner good qualities that we have developed and those that we hope to develop in the future depend on the kindness of others. So this is just presenting it in a very obvious, coarse manner. But if you look just a little bit more deeply, we'll see how these inner qualities that we have depend on a vast array of beings. Furthermore, whatever fame or respect or good reputation that we have in society, this is entirely dependent on someone else. If we alone on an island, we are in fact, I suppose, the king of that island, but there's no one to call us the king because we're alone. We can have the most amazing good qualities that are worthy of renown and fame, But if no one praises us and recognizes these good qualities, we're not famous. So even fame and renown and respect from others are dependent on others. So we need to reflect in this way to come to see how all our inner good qualities, all our happiness, all our good conditions, our favorable conditions that we have, our material resources, everything that we have comes about in dependence on others. So this shows nothing is self-existent. It's all dependent on something other than itself, dependent on others, including dependency on the kindness of others. So this is how we use the reflection, our understanding or the presentation of dependent arising to break down our grasping at inherent existence, as well as to develop minds of love and compassion. Because through seeing the kindness of others, that when that mind is developed, it becomes a cause for the natural arising of the wish to repay that kindness. And when this arises in us strongly, we'll see that it's shameful not to repay the kindness of these beings who have helped us and are helping us and will continue to help us in so many ways, whether explicitly and intentionally or unintentionally. When this wish of wanting to repay the kindness arises, we have the basis for developing powerful love and compassion.
Dodi ngal shu son sen dodi lo khon sang marwa sul khon sa midi lo do shu midi lo khon sang ro khe ngal do shu son sa ji tel ya tu ge ma do dodi le tu ge marwa dodi lo tu bo ya di kar jin ge go ma sen dodi gi shu di dodi le ya ga gyön su yo ma ga midi gi pa shu ro midi shu se dodi po ro che sa di na xin a ji ge xian da ji ge khon ro shi la che nga zu ya an ji khon ro la nga zu le chi tu cha la da nga zu gyön ro ne gyö re che ba na 당아 저기 덴제고 삼마다나 남사 미디 독자 슈레샤 미딩알라 뇌소 사디 팔 렌로야 량아 저기 콘라다 슈치 무게다 콘로게 데네 미디 렌로야기 데네기 지게 자와 자마르 정구로 와 델야 덴제게 삼다바 덴제고 삼다이데 고다 미디리아 미딩알이야 견주셔서 미딩알이 슈소 같이 슈버레 답디 삼스타데 고 나래 슈고 김전 가래라도 두지 미디 코로나셔서 진짜 코로나요래서 제사딩 미디를 코로나와 좀 코로이 긴제네 미디가래야 직도자라 견제 디자 진짜 미코로나 라와 민두아 진짜 코로데라 딘제 니기 코로데라 딘 코로디고 슈긴제 쟁알이야 네버기고래 진짜 가 미디를 코로나 산다가 너트레셔스 코로나가 날이야 네버기 미디 미코론 레민도 콜라라와 민도 제상 혼도 되게 슈긴 제샤 제상 두 때네 삼다 아제 닝제 다 미딜레 콜라 라와요 말에 제상 데니기 콘트 원기 겐제 미디 아는 갈래야 꽤 강아티고 제상 갈래 라래 강아 콜라래 강아요 미디 닝지야 선비기 안안주기 데레 닝지게다 제상 닝지다 콜리아 닝지스비 다 데니 삼다가 저기 닝 삼다도 다 미디리아가 저 콜 랭가를 오고래서 나 아주 랄려야돼 대상 다 대시 땡지게 남자 셔도 다 콜량 미디가 저 뇌기에 규디 가서는 컨트롤해샤스 지상 컨트롤 매바 쓰고 그래서 지상 그 컨트롤에 가는스 매바 쓰고를 남나 난주 봐 컨트롤라나 그 컨트롤에 매바 쓰고 그래서는 두 말은 아주 컨트롤 하는 그 컨트롤 숙체를 주고 마도 그 매바 쓰고 말았어 지상 다 될야 컨트롤 매바 쓰어라 가는스 매바 쓰고래라도 콘로데 간에 규간을 때네 고매바스 투사래 람나 소주가 아주기 잠재고 잠바다 콜 제와 이제 잠재 삼다바이나 콜 투디니 제베네 소수기 닝제 다 미델이야 콘로랑 장원 소수 미델 닝제 스 닝제게 닝제게네 소수기다 닝제 원가 콜리아디 콜레 디기 주나 선비기 잠바 삼다제 아주기 아니 동게 넘규다 아니 기시에다 베 닝지부 되니게 제진의 잠재 제바이나 안디 그 컨트롤이 마시 투그레스 지상 컨트롤이 시투 그래 제가 수수기 잠재 콤발에 때네 파조 컨트롤 시투 그래 파조 컨트롤 시투나 안에 파조 미디에 강하세고 그래 Kunji Kole Pinkores. Manzu and Konro Makiwa, Dindigan Namja, something Sebocom Tuba, Konro Makiwa, Sebocom Tuba, and Shenlia, Jamze Kitua, and Shen Yudunga Setuade, and in the Yunguris, she's not Dindigan Namja, something Jamze Hapa to Petan Rochi, and Dinesh Yunguris.
Let's look at a further way that we can utilize our understanding and the presentation of dependence arising to develop love and compassion. So let's say someone throws a stone at us, and the stone hits us and causes us pain. So we don't get angry at the stone, although it was the stone that hit us and caused us the pain. We get angry at the person who threw the stone at us. So the person who threw the stone at us, they didn't actually have any direct contact with us at all. What did have direct contact with us is the stone, but that's not what we're angry with. We're angry with the person who threw it. And why is that? Because the stone didn't, out of its own free will, strike us. The person propelled the stone at us. So that's why we're angry with the person. And it's not, hopefully we don't have too much experience of people throwing stones at us, but we unfortunately do have all too much experience of people speaking to us in an unwanted manner, in a harsh manner. But we respond in exactly the same way. We're not angry with the words that we hear. We are angry with the speaker of the words, because we know the words didn't just manifest, and these harsh words didn't just manifest, they were spoken by someone. And we know so that these words didn't just manifest out of their own free will, they were propelled by a speaker. Hence, we are angry with that person. So this is an illustration we have much more understanding of, or much more familiarity with. But if we take this presentation on dependent arising, we reflect on it repeatedly over a sustained period, we will see in an instance like this, we will respond very differently. Because we'll know that whilst these harsh words have been spoken by this person, that person spoke these words due to causes. The speaking of the words was a result that is dependent on the arisal of a cause. That cause was an afflicted mind, probably of anger, perhaps pride, maybe attachment, but probably anger. So that person didn't have freedom here. Rather, a cause ripened the mind of anger and led to the speaking of harsh words. So therefore, if we've thought about dependency, we'll see that this person before us is just a vessel for the ripening of these afflicted minds and then the propulsion of the speech. So why be cross with the person when actually, if we want to say what was the cause of the speech, it wasn't the person, but rather the ripening of the afflicted mind of anger. Thinking like that, then, we no longer see this person who maybe has a red face and bulging eyes and a pointing finger. We're no longer angry with them because we see the cause of this behavior as the ripening of an affliction, the ripening of a mind of anger. So the actual enemy here, if we wanted to point to something, would be their afflicted mind. But that afflicted mind too is a result coming from the cause of the ignorance of self-grasping. So this person before us actually is no different from us. They are dominated by the ignorance of self-grasping. From this, a variety of afflictions arise and are enacted. But now this person who we see as being just like us is dominated by this mind of anger. And that means this person before us who wants to experience only happiness is right now suffering. And that should lead to the arisal of compassion for this suffering being before us. With the arisal of compassion within us, we will not get angry despite this inappropriate behavior of this person. Besides these harsh words or these belittling words, compassion arises within us. And with compassion arising, we can then respond skillfully because our mind of wisdom has not been subdued by anger, we can now respond skillfully. In responding skillfully, having identified the cause of this angry speech before us, we know that if we were to respond in a harsh way, in an angry manner, this is likely just to inflame the situation. So therefore, we can rather respond skillfully, either with silence, or either in a gentle way, either deflecting the person from whatever has caused their anger. And in this way, their mind of anger will dissipate, they will be happier. We will also be happier when we see the blood drain from their eyes, from their face and their eyes close. And in this way, joy will arise within us because we see that there's suffering being before us, their suffering is now reduced due to our skillful behavior. So in this way, if we reflect repeatedly over a sustained period on the presentation of dependence arising, that wisdom will have an impact on our practice of patience, as well as love, as well as compassion.
Chisa shen gang lai ma de rangu ngui ne duwa se chu tu che midu chisa tu samje che ba che sam da de chisa gang lai ma de rang di gi chasang lu shen le de ne yong du wa chisa shen la gang lai ma de ba so de gi sa zao ji midu a sam be sam ya da de dong ni ru sam dang go ro chisa de ne ge shen sam je tham je da de ne ge nyom mo bi gi gyu le de ne sam ji le duwa yong du se ning je Sembigi Dewada Dena, Sembigi Jamse Samda. Chisan Di Dundala, Simjin Digis Dewada Dena, Dunga Delia, me tap me chigi, Chisan me jebal, Tab Yaksho, the San Yokovan Tobu, the San Yokovan out of the Tab Miduch. Dininza, then San Yokova Toba Chigi and Sembigi Chaju Sim Giada. That San Yokovan Tomne, Toba Jebala, Chaju Sim Giene, that they are Anchimba to Sudim Seba. Zomji Passion to Yamlan Jadi, the Chikin Sabache, Delia Yamlan Chiada. Then a dinane Yada, not Passion to Gena Shera Party, don't you to be lamb to come near, so you get us in Maripati Pongo Winter, don't you to get Tablam Lia, Dentiki, Nga, the Sugar Shepana, Nga, said Dambo, Nga to Lolia, can the check to Chanati, Samta, the Niki in the Church Nation. Ngadi Gawadu, Sentin, Shimju Cheche, the Sugar Shepan and Sosu Pumbota, Simi, then Ganis Dus and Chebache, Dus Dentik Namsha, some diadi, some Dane, and Chezan Nga Sadi, Lupa, Tazam Mado, Gala, Debam, Barang, when you do about the Zawagini, Midua, Sembe, some Daje, and do some diadi, Nanzuki, Dirinki, Kasana, Dirinki, Lobsentiki, then Nanzuki, Lalendaya, Masona, and Diredo, Chezadienza. Then some died in our to be not to Shasangi, gone to Ganya Jiong Tone, some Tangu, Chesan Jerum Chigi, and don't be soon in the Sunsha, Naya, Yamlin Dinichi, Pion, Yamlin Dinichi Wota, says that in the Dubas, Yamlin Chion do, Jerum Chion, the Dine, Yamlin Chewota, says Sungur, in the Sungure, some Janju, Dele Pisanche, the Reshada, the Ring of Sunday.
To summarize what we've been looking at, is that all phenomena, whether external or internal, the way they appear is they appear to be self-existent or inherently truly existent. So whether it's happiness, whether it's suffering, they all appear to be inherently existent. But if we investigate, we'll see there is nothing to be found. There's nothing inherent, or there's no self-existence to be found. Rather, happiness, like suffering, is dependent arising. It arises in dependence on something other than itself, hence not self-existence. Happiness and suffering arise in dependence on causes and conditions. So therefore, through cultivating the appropriate causes, happiness will be experienced. Through not cultivating the relevant causes for suffering, suffering will not be experienced. Further suffering causes for suffering will not be accumulated. So reflecting on happiness and suffering in this way leads to our deepening understanding of emptiness. And we can take this understanding of emptiness, or this wisdom understanding emptiness, and see how and relate it to others in that I commit not to harm others, not to my way of physically acting, my way of speaking, or even my way of thinking. Because the result that is suffering comes about independent on accumulating those causes. I will not accumulate those causes, and thereby will not harm others. Moreover, the causes for happiness, these are also accumulated, are dependent, and I commit to benefiting others wherever I can, however I can. And therefore, my activity, whether it's physical, verbal, and my way of thinking, I'll keep this positive and ensure that it only brings benefit to others and not harm. So in this way, through our understanding of dependency, we commit to not accumulating the causes for suffering, but only accumulating the causes for happiness, because we see that these are dependent arising, happiness and suffering, both them as a result and their causes, and therefore they are empty of inherent existence. Then we can also take our meditations, as we've seen, gone through earlier, and see that if one arises as a Buddha, achieves a state of Buddhahood, then one becomes the most skilled of guides to benefit others, because oneself has complete experience and knowledge of the paths. And to achieve this state, one needs to practice the 6 perfections, including in particular the perfection of wisdom, because that is what leads to the elimination of the ignorance of self-grasping in our own continuum. And we've spoken this weekend on how to cultivate bodhicitta. We've also spoken about how to meditate on emptiness. So this morning and last night we spoke about how we need to look for how the self appears, what does the meaning of a self that appears to be inherently existent, what does that mean? Come to see what this is, come to see this for ourselves, and then seek it out, look for it. And we spoke about how to do so, look in our physical aggregate, look in our mental aggregates, coming to the conclusion that the I does not exist in the way that it appears. It is empty of existing in the way that it appears. It's empty of inherent existence. Rather, it's merely imputed by mind. So that we looked at in some detail last night as well as this morning. So through these verses that Lama Tsongkhapa has taught, he is saying to us that this is how Buddha Shakyamuni practiced in order to become the being Buddha Shakyamuni. He taught the same method that he practiced, and he taught it completely. I, J. Rinpoche, practiced exactly like the Buddha did and achieved that result. So I know experientially that it works. And you, if you too have a sincere and a genuine wish to be freed of suffering and develop all good qualities so that you can be of greatest benefit to others, you need to follow the example of the holy beings before you, such as Buddha Shakyamuni. And in that way, you will achieve the self-same result that the Buddha himself achieved. So we'll finish here, and we'll continue from here next time. I saw this morning.